Welcome back, everyone, to SeatStory Cup 6, presented to you by...
Noxious, I'm really happy for you, and I'm going to let you finish. But first, I got to tell everyone at home about the best promotion of all time. Right now, you can head over to needforseat.com and get involved in the giveaway that's taking place. So right now, head over to needforseat.com. Make sure you click right here on European Union. Once you're there, you're going to find this Maxnomic chair, the Need for Seat Casual. And as you're scrolling through the Maxnomic page, you're going to find some hidden Hearthstone cards right here. What you're going to do is once you find 3 of those cards, you're going to take the attack, then you're going to take the health of those 3 cards and put them in a 6-digit code. So here we would start with 8, and then we would go to 6. Find 4 more digits. Then you head over to facebook.com/needforseat. And right here on this promotion, you're going to post that code in the comments. Once you're there, you are then entered to win a Need for Seat chair. Make sure you get out there and do it right now, needforseat.com.
All right. I was saying welcome back, but that'll do too. So we're onwards to our losers match of Group G. We've got Lifecoach and Dog waiting to play against one another. Lifecoach and Dog are elimination point at this stage. Whoever wins this match will face off against Eloise, who just lost to Sivka in against Control Warrior. I think this is the first one we saw broadcast on the mainstream.
Yeah, first Control Warrior. It's not a very popular deck. Yeah. A lot of people said it was unplayable for a really long time.
How do you feel about that?
I mean, it's one of those decks where, it's not so great against those control decks like Jade Druid or Reno Lock, but, a lot of people here brought decks like Freeze Mage and Pirate Warrior, so maybe it was a decent bring in this case.
Yeah. Fireback got mocked, I feel.
Yeah,
I was told...
I brought Control Warrior, got made fun of at the last tournament, but I brought it in the wrong metagame. You gotta get that metagame read. It's so important.
Don't go too deep.
Don't go too deep. You gotta... About 4.5 feet, that's
good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. I learned that from couch twerking.
Couch twerking.
So we got our first match here. We got Dog with the Druid and Lifecoach with that anti-aggro Reno Lock.
He's gonna get patches out turn 1.
Yeah. Sounds like a pretty good beginning.
Finally getting value from it, yeah.
The aggression begins. You might be able to snowball it into something there. You get your Kazakis potions can give a lot of tempo as well, and Imp Gang Boss is no joke. Meanwhile, Dog going for the full Aviana Coon plus Faceless combo. Probably has Alex Draza and the whole shebang in there. What do you think of that build?
Yeah, it's one of those decks that it's been getting more refined as time goes on. Some people trying out the Cthulhu variant, some people trying out the Alex Draza with the Malagos. So, Dog in this case running the Faceless for additional burst damage.
Yeah, it's one of those decks, I think, that Amaz was the only player that we saw play it to great success in the stream so far. But most players just don't like the gimmickiness of it, right? When you've got Jade Druid next to it that can draw just as much and probably just put down constant pressure, the question is it better to OTK someone or just put them under the gun? Because there's very few classes that have the answers.
Well, against Reno Lock, anyway, it's usually a lot better to OTK him.
If you have the chance, yeah.
Yeah, if it works out that way. And getting that early ramp's going to help get towards potentially more cycle, move your way towards that Gedgeton. But this Patches is actually putting on a nice, hefty little amount of pressure.
Yeah, it's one of those decks that has to cycle through the majority of the cards in the deck to be able to, finish that combo off. So in a meta where we're playing, Pirate Warriors and Aggro Shamans, it's probably not going to fare very well. But in this particular matchup, in the case of Lifecoach bringing a super anti-aggro Reno Lock, there's not going to be a lot of pressure coming his way. So Dog will be able to escalate pretty easily into those late game turns.
Yeah, how do you feel about the Reno Lock build that we saw Lifecoach? We're seeing Lifecoach play. I believe Wifecoach was playing a similar build. No Leroy combo, no N'Zoth shenanigans. So there's no real finisher. It's all about attrition. Do you think that's well positioned in the meta?
I mean, it does great against the Pirates and the aggro things. And we see here Lifecoach already stopping any sort of aggression. He's got Patches out there. He had the opportunity to drop this Imp Gang Boss if he wanted to keep building up this board and try and force Dog out of the game that way. But as you said, there's no finisher in the deck. So maybe, he's already starting to look for Dirty Rat, something that can kind of break up that Aviana Coon combo. So then Dog's damage just gets completely wasted. And also maybe find Bran for Kazakis, try and get some armor gain. Because Warlock can actually get a sick amount of armor gain. So it's interesting, just not playing that Imp Gang Boss there. He's already committing towards trying to go to one of those later game strategies where he outlasts the combo.
Yeah, this Azure Drake was interesting because he chose to coin it out. Number one, it's the only play he had, but it does, prevent, if in the case of Shadow Bolt being played, the ability for the opponent to also develop the Twilight Drake. So it slows them down a little bit and gives you time to find the combo pieces. So technically buys you a turn.
I don't know. The Twilight Drake's like the Azure Drake's big brother, though.
Yeah.
Like, the Azure Drake's a 4/4. He's chilling.
Yeah.
He's got spell power. He's got some cool skills.
But
Twilight Drake, he's got the muscle. He
Yeah.
comes in there. He's got the extra health, and he kicks him over.
that sucks.
Yeah,
Your
it
brother
sucks.
sucked, man.
Yeah.
Your big brother sucked.
Look at how much bigger it is. It's twice the size of him, literally.
Oh, man.
It's like,
Feels bad.
it's making Azure Drake feel adopted, man.
Ooh, that's a good draw there.
Adopted Drake. Today. Nurse was a good draw, though.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the whole deck is the purpose is cycle, then kill him. So, what better way to do that than the card that draws you 3 cards?
Yeah, in a spot like that, though, like how many turns do you give the Druid player to find the combo pieces? Do you think it's going to be fast enough at the moment if the continued pressure from the Warlock comes up? Because I find that Reno just gets tempo these days. They can actually just curve nicely, kind of like a more diverse handlock in terms of the minions that they have.
Yeah, I mean, there is a little bit of pressure accumulating on the board. There's 6 pressure, you're at 23 health, and the dog feels that that's enough that warrants a response from him. So he's going to just take out the big old Twilight Drake, protect his Azure Drake, push that way, hold on to this Nourish for cycling a little bit later down the road. I like it.
Yeah.
I mean, in the long run, if you keep the board under control longer, you're going to get more draws because you're going to be alive longer. And that means more mana, more draws, more time to get the combo off.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was alluding to. Have you played any other deck, VLPS? Like anything along those lines, or is it just an archetype you haven't explored yet?
No, I haven't played much of it since people have been testing out the Malagos version. I did play around with the Cthulhu version a little bit. Found that it was very, very poor performing against aggro, and kind of deviated away from it. But yeah, it's one of those decks that it generally fares very well against Reno Lock. There's not a lot of Druid generally can't deal with a lot of board pressure, and this Reno Lock list just doesn't have the ability to flood the board and pressure the Druid down. So Dog has been able to stay ahead on board and not fall too far behind here.
Well, Kazakis is one of those cards that can change that around. Getting those 5-mana potions, a lot of times you get some revives in there or plus health to your minions, and you can just get a really sticky, powerful board out of nowhere.
I think against Druid, that's one of the most important things. I think he might have been looking for the resurrection effect, but the thing is, the quality of the minions on the
burn
board
there.
that he'd resurrect are pretty poor, man.
You just
That's
lost Sylvanas, dude. Sylvanas is absolutely disgusting in this
Yeah,
matchup.
it's so hard to deal with.
Yeah, Druid just doesn't have great ways to beat it. Doug's got a lot of draw. He's definitely going to be able to find his way through his deck. Question is, does he have enough time to get it done?
I mean, I guess one of the big questions too is Sylvanas in the matchup other than like anything else than tempo, right? Because oftentimes they'll just sit back until they get the combo and they just kill you. So it's going to cause tension on the board, but it's not going to necessarily be something you shadow flame the board with unless.
Yeah, a lot of times, they drop Ancient of War because, they're just trying to stop pressure coming at them, and then you just play Sylvanas into it, and you're like,
yeah,
it's my Ancient of War. I like it. Thanks. I think you got to ramp.
Yeah, at this point you have both nurses in hand. You have to ramp with the first one, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The question is, what's the follow-up?
You ever draw first, or do you ramp right away to get
you
to get a
ramp
play on the
first.
nourish? Yeah.
Yeah. If you ramp first, you have more mana to work with what you draw.
Do you ever then just drop that Feral Rage for 8 health? With it being your last source of healing, or do you just? Yeah, I like this play.
Yeah,
I mean,
saving it for the gadget seems reasonable.
How much damage has Dispatches done?
Yeah.
Oh
really,
yeah, the guy's been cooking. He's doing work.
It's done what? 5 damage. Yeah, it's been on the board since turn 1.
It's a
Pretty
killer.
Sick. 1 minute 5 damage. I feel
And
like
the other
Leprechaun.
guy is in there doing work too.
Yeah.
You can't
Dude, that turn
discredit
1
the other
blade
player.
dealt a Pyroblast.
Yeah, there's a Pyroblast.
What?
Yeah. The dog was just doing Druid stuff. He had a wild growth. He didn't have time to respect the pirates. And
Well, that's a way to stall a bit longer. I mean, are there many targets in Arena Lock anyway you'd mulch? Like the Giant or something?
The Giant is typically what you want to be mulching, or the Drake. But the Drake's been dealt with, so now there's just the
Dog
Giant
should
left.
know that. Does Lifecoach run the Giant in this list?
I don't think I've seen it.
I think it
but-
tops off at
I don't know.
the Abyssal Enforcer. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Dog knows that he's kind of dealt with the big stuff, but I mean, this Emperor has to be dealt with this turn. So
and copied, I think. I think you just take that bad boy, make
Just-
it your own.
Yeah,
cycle.
Yeah. Start a cycle chain for next turn. Yeah, I like that actually.
Like Gadget will be so dirty.
Yeah, dog sees it.
Yeah.
Lifecoach did pick up the potion, I think, that deals 5 damage and summons a 5/5 demon. So it's developing a tempo alongside, killing something from the opponent. What the hell is that guy doing here?
That'll mess up some of the dog's cycle for sure, but is that just lethal? No, he doesn't have the mana? Oh, yeah, he does.
He does have it,
Lethal.
yeah.
Exact lethal there off the top with the power overwhelming. So
Wow.
That's one of the problems a lot of players have been having with these Kun Druid builds is they just can be a little too slow. But when they work, it's pretty incredible. You can get upwards of like 40 damage, 50 damage in one turn.
Yeah. You'll get to legend with it, just not very quick. And you'll have fun, at least, when you do win.
It is so sick when you get that, the Aviana, Kun, Malagos, and then Faceless the Malagos,
Yeah.
and then, play Innervates and Double Swipe and Living Roots and Moonfire. And
I like how we tried to do that with the Arcane Giant build a while back. It's like, keep the Innervate for the swipe with Malagos. Now it's like, let's just play everything at the same time.
You
It's
just
like,
get so much mana to work with 2 Malagoses.
it's insane, yeah.
Yeah.
Moonfire you for 11 in the face. Sounds good.
0 mana, deal 11.
Well, Lifecoach will get to replay the Reno log. Starts with the Bloodcell Corsair in hand again. Patches alongside it is going to probably get thrown back into the deck versus the Rogue from Dog. Probably the typical, pirate package, Miracle Rogue that we see these days with the questing.
Yeah, that's been the most common versions of Rogue. Some people stray away from the questings, but a lot of people have been bringing the questings.
Yeah, how do you feel about the SI being cut in favor of questings?
I like it. I mean, right now we're in a meta where people aren't playing Mulch, people aren't playing Execute in their list, so these minions that get big quick, just can't get dealt with, and that's the way to overcome people that, very quickly in the game. So yeah, I like the questing list myself.
All right, pretty slow start for Dog.
The Pirates.
Yeah, no pirates in hand, so that means no patches. Lifecoach will opt to at least try to get a bit of tempo, slow down on the Rogue side. No mana efficiency. By keeping the Bloodcell Corsair. SI in the hand, so that means the list
Probably
does...
not running the questings, yeah.
Might be like one questing, one SI, or is that...
It could be a questing list with no conceals. That'd be kind of weird, so I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, Conceal's one of the cards a lot of people have been putting in and out, and then people play around with Violet Teachers and a lot of things like that. But so the breakdown of this matchup of how things usually work out is, typically speaking, the Rogue pulls ahead on tempo by utilizing tools such as Sap and Backstab and Prep to be able to kind of cheat their mana curve and get on board. Then they just Cold Blood something, jam it at the Warlock's face, and then the Warlock has to kind of Reno into a giant cold-blooded minion, and then they eat the damage again, and they get kind of screwed. And that's like the ideal game plan from the Rogue in long term. But for now, it's how do you want to use your resources? Is this 1/3 worth of Backstab, or will your SI just be able to contest it by itself? Or is the SI better in your hand to react to the potential turn 3 play from Lifecoach?
Yeah, I mean, what exactly does the Reno Log play to kill the SI? It would be Shadow Bolt, pretty much, unless he wants to commit 1 Demon Wrath for 1 minion and no Pirates. I feel like a very low-value Demon Wrath against that deck.
Yeah, I imagine the SI is pretty safe, and Dog's just taking his time trying to figure out. I like just playing the SI into it, holding the Backstab, be able to contest something in the future. The awkward thing is that the Voidwalker has Taunt, so it kind of messes up your potential trades in the 3-drop. So I guess your biggest fear is
Yeah.
Bran coming down with then some decent follow-up behind it.
I mean, if there's a Shadow Bolt used here, then Tomb Pillager comes out on Scattered, so that's a pretty big plus.
Yeah, it's always a card you want to have in this matchup, Tomb Pillager.
Oh, yeah. Definitely good. Able to help your cycle, able to help your tempo in general, just because you have more mana to work with, whether it be getting a minion out or cycling cards with Gadget.
What do you think Lifecoach does here? Do you think he gets greedy, holds on, taps maybe, or plays the Bronze Beaker behind the taunt, or does he coin that, Pillager out? I mean, that Twilight Drake out, knowing the Pillager is probably coming down next turn.
I really like coining the Twilight Drake out because Pillager is coming down most likely, and you want to utilize Soulfire to answer it. So,
I mean, one of the upsides of playing the Twilight Drakes too is if there's a sap and it happens on the Drake, he could just get replayed on the same turn, and you're not allowing much development for the opponent on that turn.
Really prioritizing tapping. I'm not the biggest Reno Lock player in the world, so, I'm better at analyzing this game from the Rogue side. Why do you think he's prioritizing tapping so much there?
I guess he feels safe because he has cards like Soulfire, like you mentioned, to deal with the 2 Pillager next turn. So maybe he just wants to, cycle as quickly. He wants to thin the deck out with the patches. He wants to get, the Reno Jackson as soon as possible to have, that answer. Like you said, after that board becomes so tempo-based on the rogue side, you want to be able to have that, that tool, that Reno Jackson, to come back in the game.
All right, so now the 1-attack minions actually challenge the fight forward with Hellfire, right? So that's the temptation of backstabbing here. Is just I don't want to let him have the Hellfire on the 2 minions.
Even the Demon Wrath would get there, so
yeah.
Has to kind of clean it up a little bit there.
I mean, would you have left the 1-2 alive and just killed the 1-1 with your dagger? That way, there's like Hellfire is a risk, but Demon Wrath isn't.
Nah, just clean him up. It's just a backstab, right?
Famous last words as Gadgetzan comes off the top. And
I mean, you get a coin, you got a prep, you got action with Gadgets, and you'll be okay.
Yeah.
It's more important that your board sticks around because you don't got Gadgets hand right now, and this board might need to go the distance. And looking at Dog's hand, he's chock full of burst right here. He's got 14 in the hand already, and then you look at the table. There's another 7 right there. That's 21. If Lifecoach taps again this turn, he's pretty much dead.
Yeah, this is a tough turn for him. Does he use that Soulfire? I mean, there's nothing of extreme value in the hand. I guess, throwing the Drake away would be obviously terrible.
Hey, losing the Siphon Soul would feel bad if there was something like a Gadgetzan coming out.
Yeah.
But there's like a lot of cards you just don't want to lose, but I feel like the Siphon Soul is the priority one.
And he decides, you know what, this Pillager is scarier than I want it to be on the board. He wants to take it out right now. And decides to use a Soulfire. Let's see what he discards here. Ooh, the Siphon.
No way! That didn't just happen.
Probably the worst discard in his hand, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, BGH is going to have to put in the work, ladies and gents.
And here's the thing. Dog sees that Siphon Soul is gone, and there's not a lot of ways for, Reno Locks to deal with big minions other than that. And the new card, the Blastfire.
The Blast Crystal Potion.
Yeah.
Which I don't think Lifecoach is running. So.
But Lifecoach is running that BGH, which is a tech that not a lot of Reno Locks are running nowadays. So Dog might feel safe to just make a big Edwin here.
I'd feel pretty safe too. But.
And I mean, you kind of have to in Dog's shoes, right? Like he's looking at all damage in his hand, no cycle.
Yeah, no gadget, no Drakes.
It's one of the decision points when you gotta, as Rogue, be like, am I going all in or am I gonna try and wait it out for that gadget or that Ezra Drake? And it's really tough.
I think you might have like 2 turns. If you want to wait, you've got 2 turns to wait, and that's it. And at that point, it might already be too late. So
every turn you wait, you give him the chance to draw a heal. You give him the chance to draw taunts. So
anything that feels bad. Looks like we're going to be looking at a all-in play here from the Edwin.
Yeah. When you got no Drakes, when you got no gadget, this is usually the plan that it comes down to. And Dog is going to get absolutely destroyed by this big game hunter. A good tech choice for Lifecoach. Not too often seen in Reno Lock builds, but
I mean, there's still the possibility of top decking Cold Blood into some other source of damage, right? Because you can get Leroy Cold Blood with a dagger hit, put the opponent at 3.
Leroy Conceal, he could go for this.
And this looks great, but he's got the Demon Wrath, he's got the Earthen Defender follow-up, so Lifecoach has. Yeah.
Oh, man. And that's got to feel really demoralizing for
Dog.
Oh,
God.
Talk
about demoralizing. There we go.
Wow.
Oh, the crusher of souls.
Dog had the Druid with the Malagos Coon combo that's super favored against Reno. Wasn't able to find success there, and now he's got the Rogue that's typically pretty favored against Reno. Not really able to find success here. That's got to be pretty triggering.
Yeah, I'm triggered. I am triggered. I'm fully triggered right now.
It hurts too because he really wants to save that Rogue for decks like the Priest that Lifecoach has coming up. So now only having the Shaman to go through the entire lineup of Lifecoach, it can't feel good.
I mean, if there's one deck that's going to do it, it's going to be Shaman, right? Like Shaman's a deck that can really handle anything. It's very powerful. Interesting to see if he's going like aggressive with it or more mid-range.
A Horse Rider.
There's a Hex.
Yeah,
we see a Hex.
There's a Hex and a Horse Rider. Looks like a classic mid-range almost at this point.
It might be one of the more defensive mid-range variants because a lot of those kind of slot in the Horse Rider to help clean up against Pirates. So then we might be seeing, the new heal card in there and stuff like that. Those kind of cards are, anti-aggro, and Reno's not an aggro deck.
$50, you don't have the name of that card.
I have no idea what that card's called.
No! You have to at least give it a shot, man. That's a safe $50 bet, though, I must admit. That was a very safe one.
Starts with a J.
J?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I would have never even guessed that letter. Like, I wasn't even thinking in that ballpark.
Jinyu water speaker.
Oh, Jinyu water. Okay.
He's like, I had one syllable.
Yeah.
You?
I knew there was water involved.
Okay, you almost
Yeah.
had it there.
Yeah, it was close.
You had like one portion of it.
Yeah.
Patches in the starting hand for Lifecoach, not the thing you want to see the most, but again, it's for the ping that is played in the deck, so it's not the worst thing in Reno Lock. You're not trying to be too aggressive
He gets
with
to
it.
kill the totem golem with it.
Yep,
That's pretty sweet.
I'll take it. That's another moral coil in that deck, right? That's kind of the purpose of it.
It doesn't draw a card, though.
Yeah.
But it does draw a card when you get it off the other pirate. Because it
True.
comes out of your deck. So, yeah. I mean, Mortal Coil is one of the best cards in the deck. So.
Is that like the only application, like the only spot where you can say it's thinning the deck since there's so much life tapping going on? Like, is that the only play where Patches literally, like, legitimately thins the deck and matters
I
statistically?
mean, it always matters statistically a little bit, and then as the game goes on, it matters more and more statistically. So it's a snowball effect from turn one on throughout the course of the game.
Yeah, I mean, the math says, like, turn 14th draw is where it starts being more impactful than the chances of you getting it in your opening.
Okay.
So I wonder if Reno Lock is the only deck where it's, like, statistically impactful very early because you draw so fast.
Hmm.
Yeah,
That's
wonder
interesting.
which turn on average it does that. Well, do you ever just Demon Wrath now and try to set up a coil later on, or do you aggressively tap again?
I don't mind the tap again here. I mean, you have the Reno Jackson in hand. You have, like you said, that turn 4 play, Demon Wrath into Mortal Coil.
Yeah.
I guess you're kind of scared of, the Spirit Wolves coming down next turn. So,
Sure. But, I mean, you want those to get caught in the Demon Wrath
yeah,
anyway.
they get caught in it. So he's going to have, some residual wolves left over.
Mhm.
But he's going to be able to deal with both these two minions that are on the board right now next turn with that turn 4 play.
Reno's kind of the saving grace. You look at it, you're like, okay, I can soak up a bunch of damage,
Yeah.
and then I can reset, so I can play with my health total a bit more.
Yeah, start accumulating that card advantage, especially against mid-range Shaman, you know. Mid-range Shaman is actually one of the decks that can outvalue you, potentially.
All right, looks like we're going to see Bran. All right, try to
Alright.
soften up the board a bit.
Okay. That makes Feral Spirits really awkward. So maybe
It
that's kind of
does.
his goal here.
It's one of those minions that you want to take care of that brand as soon
Mm-hmm.
as possible, and dropping the Feral Spirits means you have to trade both of those minions in.
Yeah, that feels...
Can't feel too good,
Yeah,
yeah.
it feels awful.
You ever double trade Mana Tide?
Every time.
Yeah, that's
I
pretty
would-
much the play, right?
Without hesitation, that Mana Tide would be on,
On
the
the
table.
board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I keep Mana Tide in my opening hand in this
Oh,
matchup.
yeah.
I think it's just by far one of the best cards.
You want to Hellfire that one minion?
Yeah,
Go
exactly.
ahead. Be my guest.
And if you're running the Jade package, I don't know if Dog is or not, but you start getting towards that later stage and you have Lightning Bolt, Jade Lightning in your hand.
Yeah.
That's a nifty little 10-mana combo that
Yeah.
none of the Reno Locks see coming.
Yeah, they're like, all right, I'm at 12 health, probably safe enough from
Against
the
the
burst.
mid-range deck, but no, it's a face deck when it wants to be.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
every time.
You get spell power on the field with that, and just 14 out of nowhere, or
Yep.
whatever it is. 4, 8, 11, 14, and then with spell power, another 4, 18 out of nowhere.
It can happen, yeah.
It's like old Force Savage Roar, man.
And unfortunately for dogs, so the Mana Tide, like you guys said, it's so hard for the Reno Lock to deal
Mm-hmm.
with, but there is the answer on that side. We do see the Demon Wrath Mortal Coil if he wants to go that route.
He's
Or
gonna
even
go for
Demon
card
Wrath
draw,
patches. He
apparently.
could have left the dude over.
Yeah.
It's interesting that he doesn't answer it. He really values this Demon Wrath. Maybe he values the power of Whelming less, or he just wants to get chip damage in on it. He's just trying to set up the board against it. Okay. The Demon Wrath is pretty nifty later on to be able to take out a bunch of totems before Thunderbluff comes down.
Not
I'm not sure I like this
reasonable.
play. I think tapping is just super important, especially when you have the Reno against a mid-range deck.
And-
The way you lose against Dog in this case is just not him creating a board that you can't deal with. So
Mm-hmm.
not having your AoEs, even if you have a 30 health Reno, just being overwhelmed in one turn by a mid-range deck is very possible in the late game.
Well, I mean, yeah, but that's what Mana Tide does. That's why it's so great. It forces you to kind of want to play minions to kill it, and
Yeah.
you walk into that trap sometimes. And yeah, Lifecoach has an alarmingly small amount of cards in his hand for Reno Lock at the moment.
Yeah, values the Demon Wrath very highly, choosing here to keep it instead of going for the Mortal Coil cycle on the Mana Tide totem. So I don't know how good that board-centric play is against Shaman nowadays. How much info he's got about the dog, like Dog's list as well, right? Like what is in there? You have to expect Maelstrom Portals in here. There's possibly Spirit Claws, spell damage somewhere. So this board isn't usually safe from very much. Like,
Yeah, Dog has plenty of tools and ways that he can definitely protect this Mana Tide, but no matter how he protects it, he's got to be kind of careful about overextending potentially into a Hellfire, right? So it looks like he's going with the Bolt and the Maelstrom Portal to avoid playing the Feral Spirits into a potential Hellfire.
Oh, man. Okay. One of the things that's really interesting is like how much Lifecoach seemed to have wanted to force Dog into overextending. It's like, you want to play into the Demon Wrath, go ahead. Your Mana Tide's already dead. I'll be using my minions to soften up whatever wolves you have, and then I can just clean up the board.
Yeah. So, Lifecoach tried to bait Dog a little bit there, tried to get him to protect it, and Dog doesn't bite.
Yeah, not this time. That was a pretty cool play, though. You don't see baits all that often in Hearthstone, and I feel like Reno Lock and Handlock are the two decks that bait the most. In the history of Hearthstone, we've seen so many decks that just try to get you to overextend, and it's one of the few decks that can do it. Control Warrior oftentimes has to pull the trigger nowadays on AoE very quickly. You usually don't fall for it, but against those decks, historically, there have been a lot of baits.
Yeah. And I mean, it only costed him giving Dog 1 extra card, so it's not too expensive.
All right, Horse Rider Bolt solves the issue. Is that the play?
Utilizes so much damage to do that.
Yeah.
And you develop really badly into Hellfire, or my biggest fear on this board is Abyssal Enforcer coming down. So maybe you just try and like play around that, trading in one of the Feral Spirits. Yeah.
That's reasonable.
Yeah, Abyssal Enforcer is real scary, so that's another reason why you want to hold the Hex there, is because if that comes down, you're going to want that Hex probably.
Yeah, Dog knows that the two big minions are the Abyssal Enforcer and the Twilight Drake on Lifecoach's side, so probably going to hold on to that Hex as long as he can.
Well, it looks like he might have to pull the trigger on it.
This might be the target, though.
Ooh, can he set up a lethal here?
Yeah, there's a lot of burst over 2 turns, and Lifecoach may have not seen the Alakir, played in Dog's list. It's one of those cards that not a lot of mid-range shamans are playing nowadays, so this is definitely a way to potentially sneak a lethal in, but he decides to hero power, instead.
Instead of just throwing out the Flame Tongue to try and get that 10 burst out of hand on the following turn.
Yeah.
I mean, how much do you worry when Ragnaros comes down, hits you in the face for 8, let's say? Do you Reno right away, or do you let the opponent maybe get to that turn 10? Because if Dog sequences it so Rag comes down on 9, Alakir Flame Tongue is on 10, there could be a huge burst coming up that Lifecoach doesn't see.
Yeah, usually with the Rag and the Shaman, a lot of times that's the sequence you're looking for, right?
Yeah.
You want to get the Rag down after Twisting Nether on 9, or whenever Twisting Nether happens, and then get him with the follow-up burst after that, because it's really hard for them to Reno and react to Rag at the same time unless they run Blast Crystal Potion.
Yeah.
So a lot of times you can force them to have to Reno with a Rag still on board, and then you accumulate a lot of value. So you build a big board to threaten lethal, they Twisting it, you drop Rag, hits him in the face to set up lethal from out of hand, and then they have to Reno, and then you get an extra free Rag shot.
Lifecoach does have the mana reduction on Reno and BGH, though, so he's still under the 10 mana cap for the combination play, which is the one you want to avoid. The Dog's going to be running in a bit of a surprise there if he goes for the expected line of play with Ragnaros. Okay, so removes the shield, try to set up some decent Hellfire on the follow-up turn. Offers a trade to the opponent as well.
Wow.
That's tricky.
Dog's hand looks like so appealing, but Lifecoach is sitting there with all the answers.
Yeah, Dog has to kind of know this silence right here. It kind of foreshadows maybe some type of AoE coming down next turn. Hellfire, maybe Shadow Flame.
Not Nether.
Yeah, so it's
knowing
tough.
It's not Nether, though, do you play Rag then? Does the silence give you enough info to assume it's not going to be Twisting Nether?
And you have to double trade to get rid of the Spellbreaker. I don't know. The Rag kind of feels a little...
Yeah, I don't like Rag on this turn because it doesn't help you set up lethal for the next turn, really. Ooh, he's thinking about just jamming the Alakir this turn. If Alakir sticks around...
Yeah, how does it die besides Siphon Soul? Is there a way for the Reno Lock to deal the 5 damage?
After Hellfire, like removing the shield and everything? We've seen the two pings, right?
We've seen the Mortal Coil and the Patches, the Pirate.
So we'd need like Shadow Bolt and the
Hellfire Shadow Bolt and trade in the Spellbreaker, stuff like that. But
the Spellbreaker is dead at that point, so you'd have to go like...
He is launching the Rag. So if this goes face, Lifecoach will be at 8 life. He is at 8 life, which is a pretty desperate situation.
But
he's got the heal.
He's got the 4 mana kill and the heal on 9.
Yeah.
That's gonna hurt.
That Emperor discount is so sick.
Yeah. Don't expect it to happen that way.
This BGH, by the way, has just been putting in work. That's not a card you see every day, and Hey, you know, I might need to add one of those to my Reno lock. That's looking pretty good.
It seems to just have been carrying Lifecoach in the most desperate situations. We had the
yeah.
Edwin earlier. Now we've got the Ragnaros.
It's kind of when it shines, right? Everyone's playing these questings, these Edwins. They think they're safe. You know, no one has hard removal anymore, and then Lifecoach comes in with the BGH tech to punish those guys. So definitely put in work these past couple games for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, then you put it in your deck, and all you face like aggro
Pirates.
warrior.
Yep.
It's all like 1-drops.
You're just dead on turn 4. Yeah. You're sitting there with BGH in your hand, yelling at the computer. Yeah. We've all been there, man.
The thing is, like, on ladder, things are going wrong when you're switching decks.
Oh,
like,
every time.
If you're switching decks, everything is going downhill. It's like the beginning of the end. All right, back to trading for Dog.
Yeah, I mean, his attrition, his like aggressive plan sort of
Fizzled, yeah.
Yeah, fizzled out really hard, and he doesn't really have too many resources that are that great for trading, but maybe if the Flame Tongue sticks around, he can get, double Flame Tongue Alakir shenanigans.
Yeah, Dog's hoping right now. Lifecoach doesn't have cards like Hellfire, Shadow Bolt, Soulfire.
Yeah. But let's
he
mention,
got all 3.
There's no combo in Lifecoach's deck, so going back to that, right? Like, the big stuff's kind of played already. It tops at Abyssal Enforcer, so if Dog can just get his own big dudes, like big drops, he can contest the board 1 minion at a time, and eventually, win the Attrition War, get maybe a Valiant if he plays it, get a Totem line, and then just go push face.
Yeah.
Takes time, but it can be done.
He's got 16 out of hand at the moment. A bit off still. He's already used at least 1 Lightning Bolt, maybe even both of them.
I think he's used both.
Yeah, I think he's used both. So, he's not looking at a lot of burst remaining in the deck at all.
Yeah. Looking a little bit awkward given the hand texture. I think...
The hand texture.
Yeah, that's not what it's called. You don't call that?
He's going to take a value trade, I think.
Sure.
Yeah, you got it. At this point, he's realizing, there's not enough damage left in my deck to go face here.
Yeah.
I need to outvalue Lifecoach.
I mean, there's still cards like Thing from Below that he can top deck. Those are huge tempo swings in Dog's favor. So definitely not out of this one. And Lifecoach deciding to leave that Flame Tongue up there, gets punished by that Alakir, a card that he probably didn't expect to come down at that time.
Going back to the fact that Lifecoach is choosing to play a win, like no insta-win deck, right? Like there's no Leroy Jenkins, Powerwhelming, Faceless combo.
Yeah, no Nizoth.
Yeah,
no...
there's nothing at all besides just 1 minute at a time. Here's your board clear. Here's another minion. Here's another board clear. No Jiraxis either. You can't even hope for the Jiraxis play.
It's kind of what you want to be doing in this sort of format, though. Since you get to counter queue your deck into whatever deck that they're bringing out, you want to kind of make the matchups a little bit more polarized. So he's definitely polarized it towards beating more aggressive decks, which does give Dog this glimmer of hope to potentially outvalue Lifecoach.
Yeah, and he's going for that line of play here.
Yeah, we haven't seen any Thunderbluff Valiants yet, so, or Things from Below. So Dog's got a lot of gas left in the tank.
No Jade stuff just yet. Oh, hey, here's the guy.
The Water Speaker,
Okay, anti-aggro tech, I'd say. Like, it's just his deck is built to beat aggro for the most part.
Yeah. With Horse Riders and Jinyu Water Speakers over, in a normal mid-range list would be more Jade stuff, probably. Yeah. So I imagine he's not even running, Jade Lightning or all of those sort of things. So that could make it a little bit harder for Dog to outvalue Lifecoach. It's an anti-aggro deck up against an anti-aggro deck.
I'll say that, though. If he plays White Eyes...
Okay.
If he plays White Eyes and Sylvanas was already played, which we've seen, that's a huge threat.
Oh, it's huge, yeah.
Yeah. But...
unseen so far.
Yeah, it's not a very popular choice.
In that deck, though, it seems to just fit right in.
Yeah, I think it's actually a good idea, right? Like, it's a 5-mana, 5/5 taunt.
Yeah.
So against aggro, it's fine, and then allows you to win these control matchups.
Again, specifically, no combo Reno lock. That's even more helpful. Of all the decks you could face a Reno, this is probably the one you want to be up against with that 5/5.
Do you guys like the hold there on the Hex?
He's feels like he needs to get more value out of it. I guess he's trying to save it for Abyssal Enforcer.
Yeah. Okay. That right there, that card right here.
I don't know. Kazakis wins games, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what it does.
Yeah, that's a big boy. So that's his finisher.
That's basically the finisher the Lifecoach has in the deck.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel like he needs much more than resurrect 17 things, kill you.
You just get
resummon your Emperor, resummon all your big stuff, and
give it plus health.
Yeah, plus health, exactly.
The 10-mana resurrect plus health combo.
Good luck, Lightning Storm. Good luck.
Summon an 8/8 demon if you want it.
What are the odds you get the resurrect and plus health on the 10-mana one?
Something like
I mean, there's 100 combinations, right? So
126.
but if you're only
specifically.
going 10, if you're only going for 10, it narrows it down to what, 33?
Yeah, you
Okay.
probably got like cut it in three, so you have like less than 33%. It would be something like 11% to have both.
Okay.
And
There's some in
we
the
don't-
8/8s also pretty good.
Yeah.
Add 3 demons to your hands, not that bad.
It's a bit less than that, but yeah.
Yeah, what do you
Sometimes
go
you
here?
get Jiraxes.
Yeah, it's got to
It's
be a
like
value
15%. So
Oh yeah,
it's not too bad.
you're summoning the 8/8, adding the
Resurrect.
demons to your hand,
battle. Exactly.
right? Yeah.
And then you get the unlicensed apothecary, 3 mana 5/5. If you have no more minions, it's all right.
Wow, double Jinyu Water Speaker. This is
Super anti-aggro.
Super anti-aggro.
Gotta
Well,
play the Drake here, I guess.
You got to play the Drake. You got to hit a Storm.
Storm
and
is
you got to make
huge.
it rain.
I mean, you could play the Drake. The Genie Water Speaker would buff your Trog, so you could trade into a 3/3, and then you can heal your Water Speaker too. So you could have like 2 3/6s, and
that's a big extension out of the board, though. If you're doing
Yeah.
that, maybe you just totem, take the trades, heal the Jinyu Water Speaker up.
yeah.
I kind of like that. It's interesting.
How all in do you have to go, right? Is the question. You see Kazakus
Well-
Potion, so you're worried. Like, you know something bad's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what it is.
I think that's even more reason to hold the Drake then for maybe Spell
Yeah.
Power Storm. Because you expect things coming back to life and whatnot.
Where's Elise in that deck?
So, yeah, Dog's coming to that realization as well. It looks like he's going for the conservative play, holding on the Drake so he can pair it with some AoE on the following turn to try and clean up this Kazakus Potion. And killing the Twilight Drake is really good if you assume your opponent has the Resurrect Potion, because it doesn't come back to life as the big 4/10 that you usually see on turn 4. It comes back to life as a 4/1 because it doesn't get the Battle Cry. So I think that was kind of factored into his decision to take out that minion instead of the 2 smaller minions.
Yeah, I think we'll see the potion before the trades happen, of course, to try to get the Emperor back, Sylvanas back. There are still a few minions in there that were played.
Well, he didn't even get Revive, I don't think.
I think he got the
Oh, he got the 8/8?
Yeah, he got the
demon
8/8.
and 3. I think he took the 3 demons to hand.
Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, like Firebat mentioned, Jiraxis is a potential demon to
It's a
pull
thing.
from that.
Yeah.
Illidan is a thing.
Illidan is the thing.
The 3 mana 0/7 as well.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's
Blood
a
Imp.
play. we keep going to Jiraxis directly, but I mean, this is essentially Kabbalah's Stone with a much worse like bad scenario. It's like worse than Shatter. Like this is some of these cards.
The triple Doomguard Clown Fiesta.
You have Cruel in your deck, you're good to go. But if you don't, things are looking pretty bad. Looks like we'll be looking at Shadow Flame here.
That seems a little bit early. I don't know. Like, what if
We haven't even seen a Thunderbluff Valiant
I
yet.
haven't seen either thing from below. I haven't seen either Thunderbluff Valiant.
But, Lifecoach has the ability to kind of put a pin on what's in Dog's hand as far as the 2 left cards are concerned.
Yeah.
All right, like we've seen Dog pick up the Hex before, and that Flame Tongue's been there since like forever.
I mean, Drake, Siphon Soul, Soulfire is just not playable as long as you haven't played the potion. Like, that's just not a thing. Soulfire is going to have to be played after everything else.
But yeah, Lifecoach turned it on the gas that turn. Super early Shadow Flame.
Yeah, so now if Siphon Soul lands on your 5/5, you're opening up your 3/4 to get value traded by Harrison Jones.
And Dog's got to be scared here. Maybe he thinks, the potion is the 8 damage dealer, and there's already 9 damage on board, and Soulfire is a thing, on the follow-up. So
Okay.
Dog's used all his healing already. So he's thinking that Lifecoach is going all in, trying to kill him over a couple turns here.
Yeah, that's
That's a good point, because
That is
Lifecoach would
interesting.
have a good reason to pick that spell if he thought he could apply pressure. And the line that he took with Shadow Flame seems to hint at a damage-dealing Kazakus Potion, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he just wanted to empty his hand to add demons to it.
Sounds reasonable,
but
too.
it works out to just totally bluff the aggro line.
It happens
Impression,
to make the opponent think things that aren't true. So not playing around the AoE potential from the Kazakus Potion or a Nether, let's say, if things went really wrong.
He's got it. He's taking a defensive stance. He's scared. Lifecoach has struck fear into the dog.
I mean, I can't fault him for that.
Mhm.
So do you just reset the board and go Kazakus Potion, play the 8/8, and then have demons in hand?
Well,
Is it better
can-
than Siphon Soul?
you definitely think your opponent has Hex in hand. Like, I'm
Yeah.
fairly certain Lifecoach knows that the middle card in Dog's hand is Hex.
Yeah.
He's picked it up before. It's been there for like 8.5 turns. It's probably Hex. So that's the big problem with playing 10 mana 8/8 and draw 3 cards. because it's just adding 3 random demons to your hand. You're not influencing the board at all. Your opponent then is like, all right, ribbit, 3 mana, and your entire turn's wasted.
Totem golem thing from below, and you're like,
Yeah.
well, that went wrong.
It's a lot of negative tempo, so you really got to be super far ahead when you're getting that eaten by Hex, or you got to be able to pressure your opponent into hexing something else.
Yeah, and the fact that he has no AoE left in his hand at this point, and he's used a lot of his AoE in his deck, he doesn't really want to let Dog, you know, have a huge tempo swing like Hex in that case, and come back with things like Thunderbluff Valiant.
Yep.
So spell damage here would be pretty huge. It gives a Flame Tongue Totem the ability to trade up into the Harrison Jones with the Healing Totem being buffed, but no such luck. Try again next turn.
And
Or
this
do we
is where
play the Totem
Dogs,
Golem?
he's thinking about using the Hex now. The board's slipping away. The totem count is going to starting to get beat down because Lifecoach has 2 minions there to just chop down the totem forest. So if he doesn't Hex, he might lose the board.
Like, I feel like he at least has to Totem Golem, because at the very least, Harrison Jones value trades goes down to 1 health. Maelstrom Portal finishes it off. Like, that's the one redeeming factor about the hand he's looking at right now. But yeah, the tempo hex isn't even that good of a tempo hex. It's like,
No,
it's all right.
the scariest part is he's used both Drakes, right? So trying to find the spell power Lightning Storm is pretty difficult at this point.
There's Blood Mage left at most.
Blood Mage
Pretty much.
is left if he runs it, yeah.
Yeah.
And both Storms, but
All right.
Holding back.
Gonna go for the setup on the damaged Harrison Jones dying to the Maelstrom Portal. But look at that. 8/8 comes out. The Hex has been kept, so that was a good call. Jiraxis shows up.
Wow.
Risk launches
And
on and
Illidan.
Illidan. Okay.
Wow.
Somebody high rolled like a god.
Those are some very, very solid demons for this state.
Yeah. I mean, even Lifecoach's eyes went wide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he saw, look at his deck. It's thinning out. He's got maybe like 5 cards left, and all of a sudden, Jiraxis, the master of value in this game, showing up is going to save the day for him.
Yeah.
Well, I don't see much that could happen here. I mean, there's no Firelands Portal, Nexus Champion, Sarad, Hero Power, Sacrificial Pact. Like, that's not a thing.
I mean, Dog's looking good right now. He's hoping that
Yeah.
the Lifecoach has nothing but the 1-drop demons in his hand right now. But no, Dog, he has the best demons, unfortunately.
And the Voidwalker to protect behind Jiraxis just because.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to be feeling pretty good about himself right now. He's able to kind of make a read on what Lifecoach's potion was and adjust his play accordingly, but
Yeah.
those demons are too good. The amount of value that Reno Lock's able to create is just insane. And
We haven't even looked at Jiraxis here. Like, this Dog right now is just wondering, all right, if this is the worst that can happen, Spell Damage Lightning Storm will help, right?
finally he finds a Thunderbluff. Maybe he only runs 1 because his deck is super small, and this is the first one we've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, some of the anti-aggro builds have been cutting Thunderbluff because it's not that great against aggro.
Now, Dog thinks this is the only puzzle he's got to solve, so he's going hard at it, but there's more where that one came from.
Such a tough board to deal with. That Illidan just created so much token value.
Now there's no good trade. Like, you can't reach Illidan with this board, right?
I think you can reach Illidan, but you can't clear off the residual power that's going to, trade into his Thunderbluff, unless he gets Taunt Totem.
I don't know how you reach Illidan is the problem.
Well, you just trade in Healing Totem to Voidwalker and then the Kitty Cat and Spell Power.
Yeah, and he does get the Taunt Totem too, so, I mean, there's not enough damage on board to kill this Thunderbluff off.
Okay.
Oh.
Oh. That's a fun little card.
Do you ever just go Jiraxis Soulfire?
I
was-
personally like the Mind Control tag.
Play the value game at this point, right? That's kind of what he's been doing this whole game. They've been trying to outvalue themselves. Lifecoach got a bit of help from Kazakis, but Dog was actually, honestly, if this Kazakis whiffed, Dog might have been able to do it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
That was really close.
Yeah.
the matchup gets grindy and it can get pretty close at times, especially since the Reno Lock's cutting a lot of the top end here. And if Dog was playing like a full-fledged regular mid-range shaman that has the Jade cards in it as well as the Ragnaros and the Alakir, he might have had a better shot. Or at least maybe if he just got his Thunderbluffs a little bit earlier, because in those mid stages where he had the board, he had all those totems, those Thunderbluffs would have been a sight for sore eyes.
Get very good value trades, but now it's a bit too late to get anything done. Just trying to clean up desperately. Lifecoach will stick to the value game. I mean, if a 5-5 comes off the top, at least I can use this ooze for something after the Flame Tongue gets traded away.
So that's going to be...
It's going to be game, right? That's lethal. Is it?
No.
No, a little bit off. Jiraxis is lethal, yeah.
Only 12, right?
13.
Oh, 13, yeah, right. Counting.
Math! Aha!
Aha!
Mathematics. Let's do it. Prince Mashadar setting up lethal for Jiraxis. Everything Kazakus did this game was broken. Dog's face is the one of a dead man walking. That's bad.
Kazak is crazy powerful card. Really took Reno Lock to the next level.
Yep. Triple checking the math.
Yeah, it's getting kind of late, huh?
Yeah. It is getting kind of late. What is it, like 11 p.m.?
Yeah.
And then we've got another series after this. Lifecoach is going to be going up against Eloise, who fell down to Decider's match.
Yeah, rematch.
Lifecoach could still do this. They faced off against each other earlier, and Eloise tore him apart with the Warrior deck.
Pirate Warrior.
Smorking it up.
Yeah, felt pretty bad. And the Reno Log was also attacked against Warrior. Still didn't do it.
Yeah, Reno Lock text against aggro, got Pirate Warrior down.
Yeah.
That deck is just crazy. The amount of damage it can produce when it draws well.
All right, well, Lifecoach will join us on the couch here. We'll have a 4-man on this couch. Enough room? All right. So congratulations for the win. Of course, I have to mention the Kazakis.
Oh yeah, the Kazakh potion. Yeah, that was a good one.
That was a good one.
Good, yeah.
So just going back on that one play, if you didn't get a good roll in Kazakis, do you think you still had a chance in the game, or was it like slipping away at that point? Because it seemed a little bit difficult.
I never saw a shaman being able to utilize 10 mana until fatigue, but Dog Shaman seemed to manage it. So I did. Actually, I was. Every turn I was hoping that the shaman might simply round off cards, because that's what shamans usually do. But yeah, not in this case.
Yeah, so basically Kazakis saved the day. All right, I see how it is. So do you think your lineup before going into the match was good against his, or was it like a little bit of a toss-up?
No, I think it was fine.
Okay, you knew his lineup and all his decks and everything? Okay.
Well, I mean, he's playing 2 weapon classes, and it's also without saying that our decks are very weapon-hated or built against weapon classes, so that is probably pretty good, yeah.
All right, any other questions, guys?
No, good luck against Eloise. I
Yes.
know you have the rematch coming up now, and we'll see how it fares this time around.
All right, guys, we'll be taking a short break. We'll take a few minutes before we go Lifecoach versus Eloise for the final match of this group. Stay tuned, guys. We'll be right back after the break.